Hope you're doing good, mates. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome,
you just joined in time for the grand final. We are starting, guys. The EFREI 2023 Trackmania Cup is going into the last hot phase. The grand final is coming into play. We'll have a banging match between 4 teams that will fight it out for a total prize pool of €2,000. We have BDS, Afia Norel, Binks, and Glass playing for BG+, then Kameen Corp with Brennan Ortak, and for me, the favorites, kind of give or take, even though you cannot say that because this match will be incredibly close. Scandir and Wosal playing for alternate attacks.
And we do have our map order almost in the same way that the maps were released, actually. Starting off on Barasky, followed by Latios. Then we'll have Varun, which is the only outlier. Then Breakdown, and to conclude things off will be Elabor to conclude the rotation. So here we go then. 220 points, the point limit. Now, as a reminder, this is a duo cup mode for those of you that just came in, so both of the points of the players are combined to give the team's points tally. They need to collect 220 points to reach finalist status, and after that, each player needs to win their individual rounds in finalist status to confirm the position of their team, and the first team to do so will, of course, be the 2023 EFREI Trackmania Cup winner and the first duo winner of EFREI Trackmania Cup in the history of that tournament. So this is going to be very much a place in the history books, and a meeting up with destiny that is awaiting all of the players right now as we are about to get underway with the first of 4 rounds here on Barasky.
Let's go.
It's time for the grand final, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to go racing, and I would like to say 2 words in French. Top départ! It's go time for the EFREI Trackmania Cup Grand Final. Following along with Scandir right now. A little bit of a bump there from the side block right there. I think it was Alex. It was Binks who did this at this particular point in time. Wuzil with the best start at the end of the first sector through the first beam. A little bit of a slowdown there from one of the players. Wuzil managing to pull a gap of a 10.5 through the second beam. He goes pretty much unassailable lead right now. It was Otak and Bren who made a little bit of a mistake. Aurel touching the snow as well, so he's going to be slowed down big time back up front. Wuzil still with a 2/10.5 gap. That's such an astonishing gap to actually pull over the next pursuer. Scandir moving up to second, but he's got Afi waiting to pounce and continuing to harass him. Glass making this a 3-way fight for second position right now as we're moving on to the last banked corner. What is Wosal doing? He could be cooking something really big right now, right from the get-go. Through to the final corners we go. It's going to be Afi, Scandir, and Glass second, third, and fourth, but Wuzil a 54.0 already. Less than 2/10 away from his own world record.
And what a start for attacks, getting first and third position here, 16 points. And I think this was the fastest time that we have seen so far in matches.
Yep.
I think we didn't see a sub 54 just yet. So insane time there from Wosal, also redeeming himself as the world record holder. He had a bit of an awkward start in his world record by hitting the inside of the booster there, or of the reactor boost. So he now finds himself in the mud because he fell down. And also Scandir with a mistake. Afi was a very good POV to follow. I think you were also on his camera because he was on last position, and now he drops even further behind because Scandir overtakes him again, but Wosal had to respawn. However, let's go into the round. You see Glass and Binks were on first and second, made a good comeback here in the winner bracket, of course, where they knocked down, of course, the duo from Bren and Ortak, surprisingly. But let's take a look what they can do. Aurel with a great no side. Bren fails it. Binks and Glass still in the lead. First and second. This could be a very, very good second round for BG+. Binks is in the lead. Glass with a good line as well. And they have it. Glass, no, with the best amount of speed. And it could be him getting overtaken. But no, Bren gets overtaken. No, Bren overtakes Afi in that way. And Binks with a .30 also this time is enough to win. So 18 points for BG+. And with that, 4 points only for attacks, so they will go into the lead.
Very close race between second and fourth, though. 18,000s between these 3 players alone, which is absolutely insane to see right on the second round of this grand final right here. Moving on to round number 3 now on Barasky, and already a little bit of a shaky start from Wosal, having to wiggle a little bit through the plastic part, so he's going to be out of the running. Afi completely clubbering on the side of the beam right there, so he will be dropping down to P8 definitively right here. Brenny's at the tail end of the leading group, a little bit further behind, trying to recoup some gap going through the second beam right now. It's going to be Binks leading ahead of Skandir and Otak. First, second, and third. Glast and P4 giving us a good overview of the battle up ahead, as well as the guy behind him, Aurel, trying to creep in at the bottom of the screen right now. Skandir trying to overtake Binks at the split. He makes it so, but he has a bit of a compromised line, so it's going to be up to Binks to move up into the rankings through the long left-hander in the dirt. Let's see if there's a no-slide. Yeah, there's a no-slide coming from Aurel, trying to recoup some places. He's right in the thick of the action for potentially the win of this round. Binks, Otak, and Skandir, it's so close. Look at Aurel trying to risk it for the biscuit right here. It's only good enough for P3. Binks with another 0.3, enough to win it. And again, another close race from second to fourth, with half a tenth only covering second through fourth place, and 14 points being hauled for BG+, which is not a bad deal, all things considered. And attacks moving down to P3 as a result of that particular sequence of rounds, which hasn't really been favoring them all that much as we move on to the final round here on this first rotation of Barasky.
Yo, this is such a stacked match, and we already see the first mistake. I just wanted to say BDS can also now go into second place with that performance, but they are right now losing or lacking out one player, missing out on one, because Aurel is the only player left alive. Rosal with a good start now finds himself in the lead. Incredible risk has been taken over that beam section, but man, what a match is that already. Binks and Glass on first position with 39 points. Last round here on Barasky, then we're gonna move on to the next map, but let's see who wins that round here. Aurel with a good entry into the dirt. Rosal will not have as much speed as Aurel in there, and now the nose that Aurel gets, it's so clean there, almost bumps, but he is in the lead. But better apex there, goes into the lead. Aurel has a better turn here. Wolfside goes super wide, and Aurel will snipe the victory, and what a time, a 0.26. But look at that, Skandir on third, so that means 14 points for attacks, and with that they will go into second position again. Back and forth between the teams, and Glass and Binks also only with 6 points in this round.
Yeah, not the best performance, but also not exactly the most optimized points haul for BDS. A top-bottom performance, yielding only 11 points versus the 14 from alternate ATACs, who are now moving within 4 points of our leaders, which is of course the BG+ duo. As we're moving on to Latios by Mephisto, and for those of you who just came in, Latios, as you can see, typical Mephisto map in the building, a lot of layers, a lot of verticality, not that much sprawl out in terms of the base, but especially tricky in terms of the transitions that you have to do, and plenty of shenanigans out there, including a section that I like to call the Hail Melon, in a similar fashion to what we've seen on Aero Pipes in the World Tour. Basically just a wall slide that you have to do. I call it Hail Melon in honor of Ross Chastain, who was the only man in real life of recent memory that pulled it off in a real-life NASCAR race and actually made it all the way to the final race of the playoffs in NASCAR that season. There's the said Hail Melon.
Yeah, I remember that moment. Also, the Trackmania scene was very aware of that one. It was all over Twitter. So we have that section also in one of the Trackmania branding maps, which is Aero Pipes, of course. We have seen that part there as well, followed up by an ice set afterwards. We don't have ice here. We have a tricky jump that is coming up into a dirt section. Of course, also this dirt soup here, as Otak is already a little bit further, was on Skandir, so let's take a look what times they will drop into the finish here, as Glass will probably drive just a 57 low. Yeah, just a 0.46, you know.
57
that's all right.
Okay.
So not a 0.3. That's all right. Good timing from Glass. And I mean, Glass and Binks having the momentum rolling maybe from that first map. Wilson and Skandir making some mistakes. So let's take a look what will happen in that first round. Only 11 points between first and last duo.
Plus, remember, BG+ this is the map where they will actually be able to deny Carmine Corp their round. This is actually really their time to shine. So this is very much an opportunity to try and salvage some very, very big points on their way towards the finalist status right now in this particular matchup. Into round number 1 we go. Binks being the first man to crack, unfortunately, for the BG+ duo. He's going to be back down 6/10 down on the current leader. Moving on to the Hail Melon section, with Bren having a better approach compared to Glass, who actually had a little bit of a bounce back through the wall bounce, so he's lost a few positions there. Currently down to P3. Aurel with a pretty big mistake. Down to 2 seconds down on the leader, leaving us with a 6-car pack, with Otak going a little bit wide on the entry to the dirt zoop right now, managing to go a few positions up, but not for long, as Glass and Afi are sweeping back past him. Bren and Skandir, first and second. Wozil in P3. Skandir trying to mount a challenge against Bren for the lead of the race. Into the final turn we go. Wozil not exactly the best amount of speed. Bren will try to recoup the lead from Skandir. It's super close to the line. Bren will snipe him with a much more inside line with a 57.525. Skandir concedes the win for 17 thousandths of a second. Alternate ATAX with 12 points on the board. Carmine Corp with only 13 points. OTAC not really able to catch up big significant positions. But look at the tie between the two teams at the top, and just 4 points before P3, and BDS is not that far away either.
And let's take a closer look onto BDS in this round. I'm gonna follow Afi in this round and take a closer look what he will do. He performed really well in the previous matches and was one of the fastest. I mean, he's usually a bit faster than Aurel, who's a bit more consistent, but never underestimate Aurel, who also has a very good start. But look at Bren, Binks, and also Otak in the mix here. We go into a 6-way fight here, 7-way fight even for the lead. Only Glass is a little bit further behind, but it's too early to call here. Bren and Binks are on very, very good times right now. Into the dirt zoo we go. Probably the field will be a bit less again, or like there will be a lesser amount of players, but Scandia makes a mistake after that, and it's also Afi and Glass falling behind, so it's top 5 now. 0.2 of a second. Wosal leading the round though. Good approach from him as well. Is not wobbling over that. Brand with a mistake though. He's out on that one. Who's gonna win the round though? Otak will be on 3rd. Aurel behind Wosal, and Wosal with a 0.4 winning time attacks with 12 points though, and Aurel and Afi with 11. Binks and Glass with 9, and Otak and Bran only with 7, so they're the losers of this round, and Afi and Aurel will come a bit closer towards them, but also Wosal and Scandia will go into the lead with that yet again.
Yeah, and this time the gaps have, the ultimate gaps have actually been a bit increased between first and last, but yeah, it's still very much a tough battle here on first and second with 65 points. Alternate ATAX retaking the lead after having taken it in round number 1 a little bit earlier on, as we're moving on to round number 3 now. Currently following the perspective of Glass, who had a bit of a slow entry into that second right-hander before the jump. He's going to clear the jump pretty nicely before the Hail Melon right here, with currently Skandir and Bren along with Wosal in first, second, and third. Afi in P4, very, very close to touching the outside wall there.
Wow. Very,
very nice save from the Swiss man from Team BDS. Oh, Wosal forced to slow down dramatically. He's making it through the box side, but it's super shaky from the Frenchman. Also Bren completely flunking the exit of the Dirt Zoop. Binks, Afi, Skandir. That's a spicy top 3 and could potentially be upgraded to a top 5 with Aurel, Afi, and Otak as well. Let's see. Towards the
good
front,
light from Aurel.
Good light from Aurel. Where is Aurel? Where's Aurel? Aurel's right there. He's gonna snipe everyone. I completely missed that particular line on camera. Sorry about this. But that's a .708, plus the top 3 separated by less than a 1/10 of a second, and BDS with a big fat 18-point haul, who are going to be moving back up the standings, moving up to 3rd place still, but just within 3 points of the leaders.
Dude, I just followed Aurel there. He was on 5th, and he went from 5th to 1st with an insane ending line, just gathering up so much speed. So we have 72, 71, 69, and 61 points, guys. And I'm asking you, are you not entertained? I'm asking you that. This is Trackmania esports at its finest, and this has match of the year potential. I'm just calling it that early. We have Brennan Binks with a great start. Aurel landing a bit awkwardly, but gets a good entry into the dirt here. We have Bren with a mistake, but Otak, his teammate, is in there, and we see Aurel on 3rd position right now, still on that. But the dirt will decide a lot. Let's go with Scandia here, who gets it really well. Good to tap off the brake, but goes too early into the turn and makes that mistake, so he's out. Also, Wosal on only 6th position. Let's follow Otak here for the last part of the race. It is Binks and Glass leading. Aurel and Afi also in there. They are having the momentum here. Look at the line from Aurel. So much speed accumulated. He can overtake Glassy in the meantime, but Otak also with a bit of speed. But it's the ace for BG Plus, and my god, I'm sometimes stumbling over my words because this match is just incredible. G1 BS Plus will extend their lead to 89 points.
Top 4 less than a 10th apart. What in the holy mother of God are those rounds? Holy hell. There's we're just gonna use swear words at this point, because there is no stronger word than swear words to describe what just happened there. You guys, we're gonna be moving on to Varulkyo by Histo for our 3rd map. 89 points for G1 BS Plus, 80 points for BDS, 75 for alternate ATAX, and 68 for the Carmine Corp. But what an astounding opening 2 maps we've had.
Yeah, that was incredible. Maybe we're gonna calm down here a bit on Histo's map. We could see this map for the last one, but I doubt, because we're gonna play out for the top 3 here, not for the top 2. That is a difference here. So let's breathe a bit, yeah, because those last rounds were insane.
Exhale.
Only 1 of a second between the top 4. That was incredible. Also, the times were not so bad, if I do say so. So Bren has the world record here. I still think that someone will beat that time today, but they have to do it kind of now already. So they have 4 rounds for that. Let's see if this will happen or not. Maybe Glass is the warm-up Andy here and sacrifices himself to not win the next round, because sometimes that do be like that. Very tricky gear here in the end, as Aurel comes closer but bumps there. You lose the gear, you're mudded, because it will be very awkward for the ending. But Glass just drives a 1 minute, 0.96, so very good time, as he's only 0.3 away from the world record. But guys, standings, it is Bren and Otak right now, 68 points. They have fallen a bit behind. Glass and Binks a little bit further ahead, but Aurel, Afi, Wolsad, Scandi still very close together. And bear in mind, Wolsad and Scandi were leading just 2 rounds ago.
Yeah, indeed. All right, here we go then. The first of 4 rounds on Varun Kyoba. He's still right here. Currently following the perspective of Aurel for the start of this round, shall we? Going right around the pole, going for a little bit of an opening on the entry around the pole, a little bit earlier than expected. Currently sitting at the bottom end of the field, but you can see no big mistakes to report. Just 2/10 between first and last right now, as Bren and Afi are going to be trading blows for the lead, along with Wozil and Skandir. But Wozil will be the first one to stumble. No, it's not Wozil. It's actually Skandir who did that. It was a little bit hard to follow who is who. Unfortunately, Afi having a really big slowdown just before the jump into the bump road right there. Wozil, in the meantime, is completely setting off into the sunset right here, so to speak, as he opened a buffer of close to 2/10 of a second over his next pursuers, being Aurel and Otak for second and third place. Skandir completely messing up the CP, forced to respawn. That's a devastating blow to the chances of the big points hauls for alternate attacks, all resting on Wozil now, but he did not get the gear, it seems like, and that's going to allow Aurel and Otak to step in and move up into first and second. It could have been oh so good for alternates, but unfortunately for them, the gear from Wozil did not exactly go up as expected, and Skandir's mistake with the full stopping at the CP, he's not going to finish, and that's going to compound the problems with only 5 points for the efforts of ATAX, and that's going to be sending them almost down to last place.
Yeah, 1 point can always be very valuable, especially when, you know, when you're 1 point short to reach that finals mode. We have seen that already with 219 points, 199. That can happen. So let's see if this will come into play later. But only 18 points between the teams. Bings and Glass still leading. Aurel and Afi now up almost to first position, but Otak and Bren here now falling a bit behind. But let's follow them. They got a good amount of points in the previous round. Otak with a good line into the dirt, goes a bit inside into that exit as Bren just gathers up so much speed, but has a better setup here. Otak, his teammate from Bren, and look at that. Very, very good round for Kameen Korb right now. Will they get those 18 points or not? Otak is pushing though. Bren with a beautiful line, has a lot of speed over that corner, but look at Otak like a psychopath. He goes inside into that drift and just gets so much speed. Wolsad also still in the mix though, and he can make something happen. Let's go into the ending here. Kameen Korb, they can catch up with that performance, but Wolsad into the lead. But Otak and Bren with a better approach. Wolsad has to oversteer, and Otak and Bren with a better approach for the ending. Who's gonna get the ending the best? It's Otak and first.
No!
But no, it's Bren. What happened? Bren with an insane ending. Otak still stays on the top 3, but Wolsad 4,000s away. But another great round, but it's just impossible to call who gets that ending the best. But look at that, 16 points for them, and they're up to third place with that. 13 points.
Yeah,
between
13 between first and last. Holy crap, what on earth just happened there? And I thought Otak was going to be way too low and he was going to crash full on just below the block.
Yeah, same.
Unfortunately, yeah, Kameen Korb, the momentum is not going to be with them for now, at the very least, with that little touch from Brent. So this will be, he's going to be sent out of the running. Afi with a little bit of a deviation there, forced to kind of like back off and retreat, try to regroup and get a little bit of a better challenge going. Wozil also falling a little bit before the dirt parts. Moving on to the jump onto the bumper from the platform. Aurel, Otak first and second with Binks a little bit further behind in P3. A little bit of teleportation there on my side. Yeah. I wonder if you had it as well.
On mine as well.
On yours as well. So it was definitely not just client side. So yeah, Binks still sitting in P3, but having to fight versus Skandir and Glass in P4 and P5 right now. And still Aurel continuing to lead this round very, very convincingly. Let's see if he's able to keep the gear. Yes, he very much is able to keep the gear. In the meantime, the battle for P3 is still very tense, but it's between the two teammates of Glass and Binks, the BG plus combo, who are going to be hauling a decent 11 points in third and fourth place. Aurel finishing with a .928. Again, the sub 100s continue to roll in. Very solid, solid times. And the Kameen Korb just 10 points being collected. I mean, Otak kind of doing a bit of a salvage job there, but Attacks not having the map of their lives right now, dropping down to 95 points and seeing the rest of the field kind of scampering away.
Yeah, they only get those 5 points. It all started when it was Scandier not finishing the round there after that mistake, and he is now behind. But now one player has made a mistake. It's not Bren this time. It is Aurel who's falling behind, but from TMGL player to TMGL player, you can say like that. But I mean, there's so much value and so many good players in this match that, you know, you can just probably spend the whole match just saying what they have achieved in their careers. As we see Bren and Otak leading, Afi with a great line as well, touches the penalty grass a little bit too much, so he will not get the best amount of speed out of it. Bren super close to the checkpoint there, didn't get the best line and not the best entry into the dirt, but it's still alright for him, so that he still stays ahead. We talk about a couple of hundreds here that he if even lost in that round or in that part, and Otak and Bren are still leading. Into the last part we go. Very important to hold the gear there. Afi goes for the attack, Wolfside also with a very aggressive line, and Afi will almost snipe that first place, but he will at least snipe second. But another 16 points for Main Corp, and it will be very close again. But Wolfside and Scandier gradually dropping behind, only 7 points for him, so they need to make something happen. And well, another great round, 0.2 between first and 7th, and only Aurel made that mistake at the start. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, indeed, as we're going to be moving on to our next map, Breakdown by Rocket. So, Varulke was a bit of a bad luck map, I think, for Atax. I'm thinking that they want to actually shake that off of their shoulders and try to actually mount a good comeback together. And actually, just a quick thing to point out, we have 3 out of the 4 teams that have already passed the halfway mark in this race, or the halfway point in this particular match with... remember, 220 points for the finalist status. We already passed the 110 mark for Carmine Corp on 121, for G1 and BS Plus on 119, and for BDS on 125 as well. Alternate ATAX not that far off with 102.
They can still make it. They can still bounce back with a good performance here on a Breakdown, but this will also be their breakdown, I would say. It will give us a clear tendency where the match will be going. Bren probably doesn't have that good memories on this map, or like split memories, because this ending mistake, right, that you have seen there. Bren has choked that one unfortunately away. He has the world record on this one with a 0.66 though, so he can certainly make something happen on this one. But also Afi and Aurel now, I mean, from last to first kind of situation, as they are now at 125 points, as you've stated out as well. It's a great fight that we're witnessing right now for first position. Scan and Wolfside should just join that one for now. I mean, 10 seconds we have left, and we're gonna go into the first round here on a Breakdown.
All right, here we go. The first of 4 rounds on Breakdown. Next map, just to give a bit of a heads up, will be Elabor by Clem, which will be another very interesting map to look at, as we're already getting started with round number 1 here on Breakdown. Round number 13 overall in this grand final of the EFREI Trackmania Cup, as already the first mistake being pointed out with Binks clipping just before the transition into the dirt, and Bren also having a really significant slowdown, not really able to keep 4th gear, I'm assuming, and that's going to be dropping it down to P7, leaving a 6-car group with Glass kind of getting separated from that 6-car group, making it into a 5-car group, even a 4-car group with Skandir unfortunately slowing down dramatically in the reactor boost part. Afi trying to make a run for freedom up ahead, trying to open up a gap of 2 tenths, trying to break apart the group as they try to chase him. Aurel, his teammate, is in 2nd place, and he's currently battling tooth and nail versus Otak and Wozile before the hairpin buck slide. Nicely done. Maybe a tiny bit of airtime for Afi with a much better line from both Otak and Wozil, allowing them to move through into a really tightly new top 4. Look at this. This is so close to Cole again. Just 300ths of a second separating first from 4th. Wozil trying to take the lead and trying to make it an ATAX win, trying to salvage a 10-pointer for his duo. Aurel, the super risk that he goes through. A 101.945. Yeah, sorry about that. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. But 0.945, still very close times. Less than 3/10 away from the world record, and a decent points haul as well from Wozile and Skandir, allowing them to inch closer and closer to BG Plus, who were the big losers in there. Only 4 points collected for Binks and Glass.
Dude, it feels like one team at some point has to be last. And right now, the clear tendency looks to be Glass and Binks after only securing 4 points in that previous round. So let's focus on Glass here in this one, because Binks is already a little bit further behind, and Glass gives a very good overview of the player field here as he finds himself in the battle for that first position. But Bren and Afi are just on another level right now, already 0.1 ahead, and it is Afi who is not getting the best line, and Aurel comes closer towards him, but you see the incredible risk that the players are taking here as Bren still finds himself in the lead. Glass with a beautiful bug style. Look how aggressive that was. Bren getting airtime. Binks also know with the best line. Afi and Aurel hand in hand in the lead, and they can extend their lead and establish a kind of lead now, extended to a quite comfortable lead. But Glass here with a good performance, getting that 3rd place. But Binks on last right now, so this would only be, wait a minute. Oh, that was 6,000 of a second, so only 7 points for Binks and Glass. And with that, they will fall gradually behind. But also only Wolside and Scandia with 7 points themselves. But Afi and Aurel, look at that. The perfect scenario for them. They will extend the lead by 11 points now. 16 points ahead of Otag and Bren, who are still on 2nd.
Yeah, they have a really, really good amount of momentum going for themselves, Afi and Aurel. And yeah, pretty even distribution of points over the course of the rest of the field. In the previous round, of course, Alternate ATAX continuing to chase down the G1 BS Plus duo, currently sitting on 130, just 7 points apart between 3rd and 4th, and Binks again will be the first man to crumble, just like on round number 1, with a little bit of a touch of the wall before the reactor boost here on the plastic part. Meanwhile, up ahead, it's Afi and Bren, 1st and 2nd, trying to pull a gap on everyone else, but everybody else is seemingly following him. Alongside that is Skandir, currently sitting in 3rd position. Bren going very close to the signs just before the water part and the bug slide. Nicely negotiated. A bit of airtime there for Afi, popping a wheelie, allowing Bren to move up into the lead. We also see Wozal trying to catch up to his teammate Skandir in P4, trying to mount a bit of a better challenge for the alternate ATAX team right now. They're both trying to catch up to Afi for 2nd position. Bren still leading pretty comfortably here, even though he's getting slowly but surely reeled in by the Swiss man from Team BDS. The positions will stay in situ until Wozil gets sniped, and a .855 as well from Bren. What a stout time that the man from the Carmine Corp has driven. But yeah, Otak with the snipe for 300ths of a second at the very end of the track. And
that was so important,
yeah,
though.
so important. And Bren and Carmine Corp are taking some very needed points versus BDS to try and close the gap a little bit right here, down to simply 12 points.
Yeah, some clear tendencies are like just occurring right now. You can see Glass and Binks with, I think, only 3 points in the previous round, finding themselves and last together with Wolside and Scandir. So 20 points between tied 3rd and 2nd position. Afi and Aurel on 1st right now, 165 points though. And it is looking good for them in this round again. But Afi going over the beam there, the limitation of the track, and made that mistake. So Otag and Bren can come closer, but also, of course, the others have to do something as well. Scandio made a small mistake as well. Glass and Binks are on 4th and 6th place respectively. Bren and Otag still leading the round. Bren with a great turnaround will have a smooth landing in there, but also Glass had it really well, and I think Bren is on a great time here as well. This could be a 0.8 or a 0.9 from Bren. Let's take a look if he survives the ending. Glass with a good line here as well. Bren is risking a little bit, but goes for a more inside line there. Doesn't make a mistake here, and he's 0.2 ahead of everyone. And look at that, it's a 101.82. Binks and Glass on 2nd and 3rd, showing a sign of life though. And with that, they have finally secured some good points here again with 14 points, and not coming closer to Bren and Otag because of that 1st place from Bren.
Yeah, but alternate ATAX more crucially being the big loser in that particular round. Yeah, BDS just 10 points conceded to the Carmine Corp right there, bridging the gap to just 2 points between 1st and 2nd position. But yeah, alternate ATAX stumbling down the leaderboard down to last place on 140 points compared to 147 for G1 BS Plus, as we're moving on to Elabor. I'm gonna type the sign one last time. This morning during the pregame warm-up tour in the early hours, like 5 past 10 a.m. today, Bren drove a new world record, a 57.551. 3 thousandths ahead of Wusal's old world record, a .554, as you can see on the top right of the screen.
Yeah, he has also been on minus there the run afterwards. So it is looking insane how good Bren is on this map. He just takes so many risks, but let's see if he can transfer that speed into this grand final as well. I mean, right now it's 2 points between Afi Aurel and Bren and Otag. They're just making a run out of it, but of course the point limit is 220. So theoretically, the top 2 teams can reach that with an insane performance here. But I think it's highly unlikely just seeing the pace of this map, this match here.
I mean, the full lockout for 1-2 for 4 consecutive rounds would actually be 72. But still, like that's a big deal. That's a really big ask of any duo to try and do a front row lockout, like a top 2 lockout every single round.
Also 0.8 by Bren. So those are the times that we're looking at. So 0.7 is really fast. 0.8 is good. 0.6 is illegally fast, and a 0.5, yeah, I check in PC.
Yeah, I check in PC. No, I mean, he's getting a speaking ticket if he gets a 0.5, that's for sure. In the meantime, we're getting started with the first of 4 rounds here on Elabor. Let's actually focus a little bit on the back of the pack here with Skandir and Glass. Skandir more towards the midfield now with a very nice first sector for him. Wuziel getting the ult shot at the end of Sector 1 along with his teammate Skandir. Let's see from the perspective of Glass now, who's going to give us a better overview of what's actually like to be at the bottom end of the field right there. It's nobody touching the outside wall. That was very close calls from certain players. Now, the underwater part. Do we have any bouncers here? Yes, we have caught one in 1080p moment with Glass unfortunately having the bounce very early on in the underwater part, sadly.
And also his teammate Binks with a
Binks
mistake.
touching the outside wall on the uphill left-hander in the dirt. Wuziel trying to make a run for freedom. He clips on the inside of the circle as well. Bren moving up into the lead. Skandir in second. Afi in third. Aurel coming back from the brink out of thin air. Moving up into P4. Maybe about challenge for second position. Currently taking neck with Otak. Bren and Otak first and second, but for 3,000ths of a second. And we have a perfect distribution. Karmi Corp 1-2. BDS 3-4. ATAX 5-6. And BG plus 7-8, and the Carmine Corp, the big fat 18 points being hauled right now that are going to be sending them straight to the top of the standings.
Yeah, 18 versus 11 points there, and Bren and Oltak are leading now. So it's a back and forth between the teams. Binks and Glass had such a great start into this match, but now they were falling gradually behind, as well as Scandi and Wosal. So hopefully the next rotation will suit them a bit better, if this is of course then not too late for them. But of course the finals mode still has to be cleared by both players, so anything can happen, and no team is really majorly behind. Like 30 points is 2 rounds at its best, you know, if you play out of your mind, and that's what the players are doing right now. Brenda with the best entry here into that line by the looks of it, but just went super wide there.
Oh, 2 bouncers for the
we
price
have
of
2
1.
bounces, and we have Bren and Otak both bouncing out. Kameen Corp with a double bounce. We also see a mistake here from Skandir hitting the wall. Afi is then with that in the mix, top 4 position with Aurel. Binks Glass with a good chance here of making it into the top field, but Glass not with the best gear. He will get overtaken by both BDS drivers, and Wosal will at least get that first position for Skandir and himself, of course. And they will get closer to Binks and Glass, but still 8 and 4, 10 and 3, still 12 and 13 points respectively. But they will come closer towards the top 2 pack. So Otak and Bren losing it a little bit again. And with that, the score has, or the scoreboard has changed again. Aurel and Afi going into the lead again, but 31 points between first and last.
I mean, you saw Wosal's exit on stream. I mean, on the last sector, he pressed B for boost. That's what he did. That was just an insane ending from Wosal to actually move ahead of Binks and get the valuable 10-pointer for alternate ATAX as well, as we're moving on to the 3rd round here on Elabor. Glass getting a pretty solid start, but having a little bit of airtime there on the transition out of the grass, so he will be dropping down towards the bottom end of the leading group right now, with Otak at the very, very tail end in last position, 2 tenths down on the current leader, which is his teammate Bren. He's going to give us a good overview of the western part, though, as Glass has been forced to release heavily in order to avoid hitting the blocks on the outside. No bouncers, it seems, this time, so everything's been pretty clean, though Glass has been very much the worst for wear there on this water section. Aurel, Binks, Bren been forced to release. Look at the speed from Aurel. Binks as well, mounting a really big challenge for the lead, along with the guys from Team BDS, and again, super close towards the top of the standings, and there's a very big crash from Binks. Afi will be able to take the win with a 57.8, and the attack still making a valuable, very valuable points haul of 14 points in just 1/10 of a second between first and 5th. Just first and 5th, 1/10 away. What on earth are those gaps?
There in the end.
And attacks moving ahead of Binks and Glass in 3rd position, and crucially trying to get themselves back in the game and shifting the momentum back together for themselves as they try to catch up to the Carmine Corp. Meanwhile, 200 points plus already reached for BDS, 15 points away from finalist.
They could get finalists in this round. We thought it would not be possible, but there you have it. Afi and Aurel on that quest to get first and 30 at least, and then they would be finalists in the next one. Would be huge for them. Also, if Bren and Oltak would make a mistake in that next round. I mean, who would have thought that Afi and Aurel would run here for the victory? We see a bounce here. It is Bren falling out here, bouncing out of the water, and it is now one person down. Oltak is in there, but only on 5th place. Wosal and Scandi on 6th and 7th. This is looking really promising for Aurel and Afi right now. Look at that. They're on 1st and then 5th position, 6th place maybe. It's so close again between the players. Bings is in there, but Wosal and Glass with more speed, but Bings will stay ahead here. Wosal on 3rd, Glass on 4th, and Afi on 5th. And look at that. 219 points. That's what I mean. Every point matters, but most importantly, Oltak and Brent didn't get a lot of points. So 200 points, they will be guaranteed finalists alone for 1 round.
Yeah, indeed. As we are going to be moving back to our first map from this rotation, we're back onto Barra Sky next for our next map. And alternate attacks managing to making some solid inroads into the gaps that have been slowly increasing map after map. Now moving back up to 3rd with 182 points. They're 18 points away from the potential 2nd position there, and they still have quite a lot of work to do if they want to actually fight for the overall win here on the map from Popwets. And yeah, BDS just have to finish the round and break this round well in order to actually get that finalist status. Round 1 underway.
Round 1 underway on Barra Sky. We have seen a great performance here from Wosal indeed, but it was very, very risky from him, as I think this is the comeback that they have to take. Afi and Aurel will be finalists regardless what happens, unless both of them will just not finish, which is probably not happening. So let's take a look here what Wosal can do. He has, of course, the well record on this map. Great approach from him. Bren and Bings are behind him, but also Afi with a great line. Scandia right now on 6th position. Glass and Bings are completely falling apart right now by the looks of it. However, Bings is in the lead, so it's right now the BG plus sandwich, but Wosal goes back into it again, but Bings with more speed over that uphill. Now the nose comes into play. I'm going to follow Aurel here for it. He had a really good, but fails it. Now Afi gets it really well, but Wosal is still in the lead. It's Wosal versus Bings in the ending, but Wosal has more speed and the better alignment for it. Bings goes a bit more inside. Is it enough? Oh my god, it's a tie, and Wosal wins it. Here it's a tie to the 1000, and this is really important for both teams. 2 points to have or not to have. It is Wosal and Scandi with 14 points, and we have our first finalists, ladies and gentlemen. Oltak and Brent only with 4 points in this round again.
Yeah, and the W at the top as well for like balance has been restored, I think, in this particular sense, as we're moving on to finalist status then for BDS right now. Both of the players, Afi and Aurel, have to win their rounds individually, and unfortunately for G1 BS+, they made a very, very bad mistake with Bings unfortunately hitting the pillar of the CP and going for a wicked backflip, but forcing himself to respawn at the very start. So this is exactly what they did not need to have, as we're moving back up towards the order now. Moving up with Wosal, currently at the tail end of the leading group. Right now, Afi, Bren, and Skandir, 1, 2, and 3. Everybody jumping over the snow nice and easy. Maybe a bit of a touch of the snow there from Glass, unlike his fellow teammates. In the meantime, Afi and Brent, 1st and 2nd. Skandir in P3, following the perspective of the Belgian there. From alternate attacks, Afi continuing to harass Bren, trying to get the final stages for himself, trying to go for the no slide, executes it perfectly, and is just going to zoop ahead, along with his teammate Aurel, moving up into 2nd place, very temporarily ahead of Bren. Afi. It's going to be a battle for the 2nd position. Afi getting slowed down, Brent trying to mount a challenge, it's not going to be enough. Aurel full stop picking into the finish as well, but it's enough for BDS. 1 out of 2. They're 1 player away from winning the ETC 2023.
And also, what a time, 54.17. Bren with an incredible risk there. Aurel, unfortunately, not denying some points after having such a great round there. But Afi takes it home, and he can, like, not calm down. The whole pressure is on the shoulders from Aurel. Let's take a look. Will BDS be able to win the first installment of the EFREI Trackmania Cup Duo Edition? You know, the former champion was Feed in 2022. Yeah, the land champion Feed, who hasn't qualified together with his teammate. It was a very close match, but they're kind of in the 5th position, I would say, by barely not making it. And let's go into the round. Wosal is leading. Aurel is fully behind here, but gets a good line. It's still very close. Wosal catches some snow here, but still finds himself in the lead. Bings, Oltak, and Brennan are behind Wolfstyle. That's what I wanted to say. And Aurel makes a mistake, so he's out. He's out on that one. Wolfstyle still in the lead. Let's take a look. How many points will Wolfstyle and Scandir get? As Scandir is on 4th position right now, together with Oltak. But good line from him. He needs to get that 3rd place in order to activate finalist mode. But it's not enough, though. Bren and Oltak are in finalist. But Wolfstyle with a .13. What the hell is that time?
Yeah, .13. That's a stout time if I've seen one. Less than 3/10, a little over 2/10 away from his own world record, remember. .831, 53.871, sorry. Courtesy of the man from Alternate ATAX. And yes, as you said it, Karmine Corp now into finalist status. They also have a shot at taking the title for themselves. Attacks on 218, and G1BS are not that far off either. They're on 203. The gaps are actually closing up very, very nicely here on this grand final as we're moving on to the 4th and final round here on Barrow Sky. Brent potentially in with a shot of actually getting one of the 2 feet in the door then for the Karmine Corp to take the title away for their first dual title. Remember that. Wuzil and Binks in the meantime leading the round in 1st and 2nd. Bren having a much better exit from the beam. Moving up into 2nd place, we also see his teammate Otak trying to sandwich Binks alongside his teammate Bren. In the meantime, it's Wuzil who's going to be moving into the lead with a very, very safe buffer of around 0.2 of a second at the split, though he will be seeing Bren and Otak creeping back in. Also, Skandir in P4 trying to back him up as we're going to be moving onto the dirt part. Nobody going for the no slide, it seems like. Wuzil still having a very, very safe buffer up front of around 0.2 of a second, and that's going to mean another finalist status, this time going for alternate ATAX, and a time of 54.088 to boot for Wuzil. That is a very, very strong showing from the Frenchman.
Wow,
as we're going to be moving on to our next map. 5-way finalist indeed. We're moving on to Latios next.
And look at Binks and Glass at 211. Guys, I can't. It could be 7-way finalists.
This is so close.
The thing is now 1 finalist is out, so at least 5 points for Binks and Glass, and this means that we're gonna have guaranteed 5 finalists at some point yet again, by the looks of it. So let us take a look. It all depends. Will it be finalists with or without a winner in that case already? So will it be Aurel winning or not, as players are DNFing the warm-up here? Let's take a look. Brent just pressing delete here, but the others are not doing that, which I can understand. So good luck to the players and have fun. Let's see if we're gonna skip the warm-up or not.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be the time to shine for especially the BG Plus duo of Binks and Glass. This is going to be where they can actually perform the most. They could potentially steal the limelight from everyone else and actually reap the trophy for themselves, which would be such a nice story, especially for Glass in my eyes, as we're moving on to round number 1 already for this second map, for this second rotation of Latios, and one of the finalists already in the mud. That I think was actually Bren. Yeah, indeed it was Bren who touched. Now onto the Hail Melon section with Binks and Glass. What do you know? 1st and 2nd at the exit just after the jump onto the uphill dirt. Now through the very, very tight bridge. Nobody actually touching. That's very nice and easy. Now moving on to the bobsleigh part. Sakandir with a very smooth entry just before the dirt zoop. Are there going to be any casualties? Binks very, really slow exit from there. He's going to be leaving Wuzil and Aurel for BDS and for attacks. This is going to be very important here. BDS is just 1 round win away, remember, from actually winning that particular round altogether. Aurel is going to try to do something together. Attacks versus BDS. Can Aurel try to do something? No. Skandir will take the round win with a .572. It's still all to play for. 1 foot in the door for ATAX. Karmine Corp yet to score something. And finalist status as well for BG Plus. 6 players on the track with the red trigram.
I see red, chat. Look at that. Afi and Skandir probably are as shocked as we are right now. We are witnessing a banger of a final. 6-way final situation, ladies and gentlemen, for the title. Afi and Skandir. And then we have Wolfstyle and Aurel who have to deliver now and win the EFREI Trackmania Cup for their team, of course. But let's focus on this round. Of course, we have Glass and Binks also have been leading at the beginning of the match, but they have been falling a bit behind, but then kind of came back again. But look at that. Bren in the lead. We could have 3 winners already, but no team that has advanced into the winner booth just yet. Bren with a great start here, 0.1 ahead.
Oh,
And we have
Binks.
one mistake here. I think it was Binks making a mistake. Glass is behind. Glass doesn't go for the dirt soup, so he's out of there.
Oh, Brent slow. Glass taking the lead.
Glass taking the lead there, and it's
Aurel is
Aurel
not
who's
far.
also behind. Let's take a look onto Aurel's ending. Will this be enough? Aurel had great ending sections before and goes into the lead, has a great approach here, goes into
Aurel's falling
Aurel is out
off.
of this one. Glass or Otak, who's gonna get it? It will be Otak winning, but what a messy round that was. But Kameen Corp is not through just yet. 1 out of 2. Now it only needs G1 and BS Plus to take home a round, and we have 4 winners without any team being the actual winner.
I don't know about you, but I'm literally shaking behind the camera. Imagine the nerves. Imagine the nerves behind the players. If we're all nervous like this is absolutely insane matchups that we're going to be seeing right now. Round 3 out of 4. This could be the one to decide the title, or this could be the one for G1 BS Plus to kick a foot in the door again and make it 4 players with at least 1 player validated. This is going to be insanely tight starting now on round number 3, and currently following Glass, trying to go neck and neck with Brent just before the jump. Now moving on to the perspective of Woozy just behind him in P5. Onto the Hail Melon we go. The top 4 very tightly grouped together. It's going to be Brent getting the whole shot, 36 thousandths ahead of Aurel, but everybody regrouped together as we move on to the bridges now. It's going to be insanely close. Woozy the first to crack, touching just before the freewheel. Brent moving up into the lead, Aurel into second position. We also see Binks up into P3. This is too close to call. Glass is too far behind. Aurel has made a little bit of a mistake. Binks is way too far up. Bren is going to be inheriting the lead. Bren is going to be making it. It's going to be so close, and it's unfortunately done for Binks. Can Glass try to pull something together? It's a great set. No! Trying to win to it. Aurel! Aurel! It's time for BDS! They are winners of the EFREI Trackmania Cup 2023 after an enthralling final round. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, what a final round we've witnessed. Afi and Aurel can be proud of themselves after that comeback. What a holy snipe from Aurel.
Oh my god.
Oh.
What was that snipe, dude? Just seeing Aurel, I was emphasizing his incredible ending sections, and Aurel was able to close it out. You've seen just our reaction here. 4 thousandths of a second here. 4 fucking thousandths that just say like that. I don't care about it. This match is going wild. I just be honest with you. Glass with a mistake, and I think it cannot be topped. Also getting landing back. Bren and Binks, but Bren is looking to take redemption, but Binks with a great 9 can still deny Bren and Otak the 2nd place, but look at that. Hello, hello.
Wozile.
Goodbye, Wozile. Wozile is out in that round. It will return Bren and Binks, and Bren is leading, and I think this will be the 2nd place for Kameen Corp. Bren will probably not get this one sniped away again, but Bren
or is he?
It's not the best ending here. Binks clipping though, and Bren will take it. So Bren on 2nd. But oh my dude, that was that was maybe moment of the year worthy, guys.
Yeah, probably
already.
round of the year. I tried to go higher in the voice, but the voice doesn't allow me to go any higher than I did, so
I think my screaming kind of compensated it quite well.
I mean I was kind of like trampling over you. I mean I yelled pretty loud in the microphone as well. Sorry for your ears, guys, and yeah. But anyway, 2nd place.
Rip ear users.
Rip ear users anyway. So finalist status still for G1 BS Plus as we're moving on to, it seems like it is Varulkio. Yeah, it is indeed Varulkio with Woza still to confirm that finalist status, and this is going to be the final 2 rounds no matter what here on this EFREI Trackmania Cup 2023, which has been a competition that has been so amazing to follow right from the very beginning. Insane matchups right from the start, especially here on day 2 where we've been treated more than enough here to insane matchups as we're starting the first of the 2 potential rounds here. It's all on the shoulders of BG Plus to try and force this into one tiebreaker for all time's sake here, and the place in history here to complete the podium in the first duo edition of the EFREI Trackmania Cup. Binks dead.
Binks with a
It's
mistake,
all down to
and
Glass
it's between
then.
Glass and Wosal. Yeah, let's take a look who will take it here. Wosal with a great line though, coming closer towards Glass, even overtaking him, both with good release timing there. Maybe very hesitant with the accelerator there, but Glass with a good line, Wosal with a good approach, but goes too far
flip.
onto the inside, and it is Glass who is leading the round by quite a bit, by almost a second here. Wosal with not the best amount of speed, and Glass will take this, so this will be a 1v1 between Binks and Wosal.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the 1v1s ever, ladies and gentlemen. One of the 1v1s ever, as we're getting closer and closer to said 1v1. Glass just has to round a few corners and jump straight into the finish line to do so. And ladies and gentlemen, one more round into this EFREI Trackmania Cup before the podium is settled. Who will join the Karmine Corp and BDS on the winner's rostrum here on the ETC? One round to decide it all. It's Binks versus Wosal, BG Plus versus alternate ATAX. Here we go then. Binks with a good start so far, taking the whole shot after the first checkpoint right there, but Wosal is still on his clutches, waiting to pounce. Coming up to the end of the first sector now, it is going to be Binks still holding the lead. A little bit of a slowdown there for Wosal, managing to avoid the shrubs, and he slowed down dramatically here on the downhill on the grass, so that's going to allow a little bit of room to breathe for Binks. Right now, pulling a gap of around 0.3 of a second compared to the man from alternate ATAX. Now through the mid-map, Binks looks to have this round pretty nicely well-rounded for now, but anything can happen in Trackmania, and usually does. We're not safe from seeing any blunders from the leader as we're moving on to the third and final sector. Look how Wosal closed the gap indeed. He's right back within the exhaust pipes of Binks' car. They're almost going wheel to wheel right now. It's going to be down to that last airpin. Their gear is going to be very important. 201. This is right on the verge, but Wosal's got a bit more entry speed into there. It's going to be down to the edges. Wosal a bit too far to the line. To the line! And it's going to be Binks slipping for 0.005 of a second to guarantee P3 for himself and his teammate Glass. What an ending. Way to end the competition with a bang. P3 for BG+, P2 for Karmine Corp, but most importantly, Afi and Orel, your grand champions of the 2023 EFREI Trackmania Cup. GG.